Okay, when you look at a stock like AMC, what do you really see? Is it just a movie theater chain? Is it some kind of revolutionary movement? Or is it a financial disaster waiting to happen? Depending on who you ask, you get wildly different answers. So let's try to peel back the layers on one of the most polarizing stocks out there.
First off, things get confusing right out of the gate. On one hand, you've got AMC Entertainment, the stock, trading for just a few bucks, but then in the very same forums, you'll see people talking about AMC restrictions, and they mean something totally different. See, AMC is also a super common acronym for Asset Management Company. It's actually a perfect little preview of the tangled up world we're about to get into.
All right, so the real story, the one that gets all the attention, it really kicks off online. We're talking about places like Reddit, where it feels like two armies are just locked in this constant, fierce war of words. And it's not really about numbers, it's about belief. It's about vision. It's two completely different ways of looking at the exact same company.
So on one side, you have the bulls, the apes, as they call themselves. And for them, this goes way beyond the financials. They see a leader, a visionary CEO in Adam Aaron, who's making these really bold strategic plays, like, investing in a gold mine. What's so interesting here is that the whole argument is built on leadership and what the future could be, not what the balance sheet says today. It's a story of faith, really.
And then you have the complete opposite take, the bears. They look at the very same company and see a totally different reality. They just point to the hard, cold numbers. Billions of dollars in losses, a mountain of debt. For them, the story is simple, and honestly, it's pretty grim. It's all written right there in the accounting. But the bulls, they come right back with another core belief, the hope for a buyout. The big idea is that some media giant, like a Disney or an Amazon, is going to swoop in and acquire AMC, which would make the stock price soar. It's an argument that's all about future potential, even though, as the user themselves admits, it might just be wishful thinking.
The bears, though, they often just wave all of that away. A lot of them don't even see AMC as a real investment you're supposed to analyze. To them, it just gets lumped in with other, what they call, meme stocks. Basically, a lottery ticket, not a serious asset. The tone is just complete and total dismissal. So here's the bottom line. We have two completely separate conversations happening at the same time. The bulls are selling this grand story of vision, of bold strategy, and this potential fairy tale ending. The bears are laser-focused on the data, the debt, the losses, and a stock price that's been crushed. They are absolutely speaking different languages.
But here's where things get really wild. What if this whole war of words isn't entirely authentic? What if some of that negativity we just saw is actually part of a hidden, coordinated attack? This leads us to a pretty stunning confession that popped up online. So a Reddit user comes forward claiming to be a paid basher, and they lay out this whole detailed expose. They allege they were part of a team that was literally hired to spread fear, uncertainty, and doubt about stocks like AMC. I mean, this just throws a massive wrench into everything, right? It suggests the whole debate might be manipulated. And what was the mission? Well, according to this post, it was simple. Psychologically attack a stock to drive the price down. Why? So that wealthy clients could swoop in and buy it up cheap. It's basically a modern psychological operation designed to shake money out of the hands of regular investors. And get this, it wasn't just random people trolling. They had a whole system, a playbook. You had architects creating what looked like legitimate but was actually fake research. You had serpents, which is the role this user said they played, who would pretend to be concerned investors just asking questions. And then you had disruptors whose only job was to spam, cause chaos, and mock people. It was a full-spectrum assault on investor confidence. Okay, so this brings up a huge question. If the online chatter is this chaotic, and possibly even manufactured, where do you look for a clear signal? Well, let's pull way back from the world of Reddit and see what the biggest, most successful names in finance are actually doing with their money. We are now entering a totally different world. Forget about anonymous usernames. We're talking about the super investors. The Warren Buffetts of the world, the managers of these massive billion-dollar funds. Their actions speak way louder than any Reddit post ever could. So what are they buying? Take a look at this list. These are the top 10 stocks most owned by these elite investors. You see Microsoft, Google, Amazon, Apple. It's a who's who of massive, profitable blue-chip companies. Their focus is clearly on these established, dominant giants. So the most important takeaway from this list is actually what's not on it. AMC, GameStop, any of the other so-called meme stocks,
they're just completely absent. The consensus among the world's top investors seems to be to stay far, far away from these names. It's a really stark contrast to that online battlefield we saw. But, professional investors don't just stop at looking at individual companies. They zoom out even further. They're looking at the giant economic forces, the macro environment that can make or break any company, but especially a vulnerable one like AMC. For instance, they don't just see AMC's $9.8 billion in debt. They're tracking the health of the entire market for high-risk borrowing. If it suddenly gets more expensive or risky for any company with a lot of debt to borrow money, that's a huge red flag for a company that's already highly leveraged.
This number right here, it looks complicated, but you can just think of it as a market-wide fear gauge. It's called the option-adjusted spread. All you need to know is that when this number goes up, it means there's more fear and financial stress in the system. And that directly impacts companies like AMC that rely on borrowing. And the other huge factor they watch is inflation. Rising prices affect absolutely everything. It hits a company's costs, think popcorn, wages, but it also hits the customer's wallet, right? It makes people think twice about spending money on a movie ticket when gas and groceries cost so much more. And this number, the Consumer Price Index, or CPI, that's how we measure it. As this number climbs, it puts a squeeze on both sides of AMC's business, its own expenses, and its customers' ability to spend. The pros watch this thing like a hawk. So, when you put it all together, you realize that to really get your head around a stock like AMC today, you have to look at it through 4 different lenses. You've got the battle of stories playing out online. Underneath that, you have the potential for hidden manipulation. Then you have the completely different world of what the professionals are doing. And wrapping around all of it, you've got these huge economic forces that shape the entire game. Which leaves us with this one final, really critical question for the way markets work today. In a world of social media tribes, hidden games, and complex systems, what actually wins? Is it the investment with the most powerful story, or the one with the cold, hard data on its side? The crazy story of AMC suggests that the answer is anything but simple.